Hi, this is Rashid. Thanks so much for clicking on this video and giving me some of your time. Today we are going into a new topic that is sequential circuits. We have, I don't know how many videos I did so far, probably 20 to 25 videos on the combinational circuit. So we are into logic design part. First we did combinational circuits, now we're going to do sequential circuits. And after logic design, we will go into CMOS, basic construction of all these combination and sequential key elements there. And then after that, we will look into HDL language and we'll look into FPGAs. And from there, we will go into backend design of ASIC. So that was the overview. Anyway, let's get started. Sequential circuit or storage elements. I already mentioned in previous lectures that why we need them, and you have seen that the importance of that because I regularly talk about that our code is inside the memory, and from the memory the data that we need to process we bring it into register, and then we have ALU operations which are arithmetic and logic unit that does arithmetic and logical operations on those registers, and the output is also put back into the register. The next step is putting that back into the memory if you have to. Okay, so storage is a key thing. Otherwise, you can think of this as an adder or multiplier, and the values come here and they change immediately while this thing is processing them. So we do want to store these bits or keep them for a little while till we have our operation done. Okay, so you're with me. We need to store data. That is important. So then question is how we store it. How we store 0 and 1 there. Of course, right now we are in the basic stage of storage where we're looking at the storage when the power is on for the circuit. Okay. You probably have seen this one in case you have done these type of courses, but if you're not, this is interesting. So this circuit, we already talked about inverter, right? The job in when inverter is when input is 0, it makes output 1. But when we put two inverters together in series, here is what happens. When 0 and then 1, the next one is 1, then this flips it to 0. This goes back to 0 and 1. So you can see that this circuit pretty much keeps 1 on this position and 0 at this position. So it's a kind of a bistable circuit, like it has two stable states 0 and 1, and it keeps the storage there. Here's another way. Just you typically have seen something like this, but I have drew this something in the middle. This is same thing. This is the only thing is I put the blue inverter at the top, green at the bottom, and now you can see just red in between, and the purple is connecting them. Then this thing is exactly this thing. They're all same. Okay. If you look at, I'm calling this one the output of this blue thing Q, and output of this green thing is Q bar, Q dash. And the same thing, this one goes here, I did this way, and this one goes here, and here I drew it like this. And you will see a lot of time this circuit, I don't want you to get confused that it's the same as the same thing here. So we're just wanting to make sure that we have 0 and 1 stored there. Okay, now it's great. It's stored there, but you probably be thinking, Rashid, how to get 0 and 1 in here? What if I want to store 0 here and 1 here? Or how to get a control of this device? Because in this form, it just will initialize with something, and our inverters are typically pretty good in raising it to 1 or 0. That's the advantage of CMOS that we will study. So they will take the value to a certain state and try to stay in that level. But as a user, you want to control it because sometimes you want to put 1 or 0. I mean, if you don't control it, this is a separate circuit. It's of no use. So let's go to the next circuit that I don't know if you heard about it or not. But it's a way the same thing. So we have a gate here, which I just put a question mark. We need to draw that part. Okay, so the way we need to do is somehow that gate we need to force it into setting this 1 or 0, this node or these two nodes. And in this way I put a set and reset, so you can see that Q and Q bar are always opposite to each other. So that whenever this is 1, this will be 0. So for we put this sign there for the inversion of it. So Q and Q bar always inverse of each other. So if there is a way we can force this into one state and force this one another state, this thing we can override this. We can put this as a 1 set, and when we put a reset, then we put this into 1 and this will be 0. So some sort of signals can give us a control, and we can put a gate or some digital logic here that can help us on that. And what is that? That circuit is this our friend NOR. Okay, so we put a NOR here, and rest is same, nothing changed, and we are controlling through this one. And you will see that. Let's look into truth table of this one. Then you will understand what I'm talking about. Let me pick that pen. Okay, so let's first look at this case. Set is 1 and reset is 0. So on the NOR, if you remember, the basic truth table of NOR is or. I always take R and NOR is the inverse of that. So when A, B, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And NOR is opposite of that. So the unique thing is when one of the input is 1, output is 0. And for output to be 1, both input have to be 0. Alright, so you understood that? So let's apply that formula here. Now this is 1. So we know that one of the input is 1. We don't have to worry about the other one. Doesn't matter what is this. Then output is be 0. Okay. And similarly when this is 0, on the other case I'm thinking now. So this is for 0. This is 0. Okay. Then we're not sure. When this input is 1, it will be 0. When the other input is 0, it will be 1. So we need to wait for this input. And we already know this is 0 because this quickly drove it to 0. When this 0, when it goes 0, 0, it's 1. So this is 1. So you see that now this one is 0, this one is 1. Or you can say here Q is 0 and Q is 1. Alright. Let's rub this thing because we need to put new numbers right there. Alright, let's go to this stage now. This is 1. Sorry, this is 0. This is 1. Now we know that one of the one input is 1, output is 0. So we for sure know this thing happen. When this comes here, 0 here is with 0. What's going to happen here? 1. So we have seen that Q is now 1 and 0. So this combination is for setting Q to 0 and this combination for setting Q to 1. Okay, what happens in this case? 1, 1. Let's clear that. Okay, this 0 and sorry, too fast. 1, 1. Okay, what happens? When one of the input is 1, output is 0. 0. Okay, and this one is 0. When this one is 0, okay, it comes here. But this 1 will still drive it to 0. So we have both kind of, and even though this is 0, this goes back. We get 1, 0. When the 1, 0 output tries to, sorry. out to be 0. You understand that one? So, and then, so again, hope you got it. Hope I was not too fast. So let's do it one more time. So I feel like I didn't explain that well. So 1, 1. So you have 1 here, 1 here. As soon as this is 1, this is 1. Because of this nature, when one of the input is 1, output immediately becomes 0. So this is 0. And because this is 0. Now 2 are not opposite to each other. The other way you can think of this will always be inverse of it, but the way we are forcing each one to be on that particular 0, 0. Now this does have a challenge here that, okay, now to make you have a kind of a redundant type of combination here, because you can make q a 0 like this. And we're typically interested in what q, and q bar is kind of complementing that one. Anyway, let's look into this piece, because this is a very interesting one. All right, let's take it up. Okay, now this is 0, this is 0. Okay, now zeros you can see here, when 0 is not a decisive thing. 0, like if one of the input is 1, we know output is 0. But when it becomes 0, we're not sure we'll have a 1 or 0. So it really depends on what is the value coming here, what is the value here. Or you can say that when it's 0, 0, it really depends the previous stage of it. And let's pick two scenarios. Let's say previous stage was 0 and 1. Okay, in that case this is 0 and this is 1. Okay, now as soon as this will become 0, and when this is 0, this is 0, this will be 1. All right, so previous state was maintained. Let's say 1, this is 0, this is 1. In that case, okay, let's say this is 1, so this is 1, and 0, this is 0. Okay, because of this one, this immediately becomes 0. Okay, this will be then 0, and both are 0, this is 1. So you can say that whatever the previous state is actually it maintained that this thing is not overriding the previous state. And that is really the beauty. When input S and R's are 0, 0, okay, Q and Q that whatever their values were 0 or 1, those are maintained. And that is the key thing. If you notice this thing, when we have a 0, 0, we are just maintaining previous state. We're not overwriting, so we're storing it. And if we want to change something, we have to bring S or 0. Now, so this is cool. Now we are able to store, and then we are able to change the values of Q and Q dash. Let's say we did S 1, 0, we wrote this one, and next time we put 0, 0, we'll keep previous 0, 1. As long as we keep 0, 0, this value on this circuit output is not going to change. And that's really cool. That's exactly what we wanted. There is one upgrade we can do. As you can see that this 1, 1 is kind of a redundant thing, right? Because this 1, 1 can make a 0, 0, which is kind of not required. Ideally, we just need this and this. So we can do another with 3 more gates. So this is not complicated at all if it looks a little bit complicated. So this circuit is same. The only thing we are adding an AND gates, 2 AND gates, and an inverter. Okay, and the input is a clock, that clock exactly same value goes to the both AND gates, and D comes one as is, the other one is inverted and then goes in. Okay, just look a little bit, take a little bit time to take a look and understand and absorb this. Nothing changed. Okay, but we can really understand the functionality of this through a truth table. So if I'm going too fast, you can stop it and then you can try to learn it on your own. And whenever you don't understand something, always create these type of truth tables. Don't look at mine, create yours. The inputs are these two. That's it. Everything, these are the in the middle, and these are really the outputs that we are interested in. And I've drew them just like here. Clock, D, the key things. Then D dash is an intermediate. S and R, which was input before, now it's intermediate, because that's exactly what we're trying to control. Let's look into the case when clock is 1. Clock is 1, this is enabled, this is enabled. It really depends where's the value of D on the other input. When D is 0, this is 0, and this is 1. Now this is 0 means this is disabled, means output is 0. This 1 depends on clock now. If clock is 1, this is 1. So we have a case of 1 and 0. And you know what happens when S is 1, R is 0. What happens? Okay, Q1 is set and this is 0. Now look at clock is 1, D is now 1. Then this is 0. This is 0. Okay, that is 1 because this is 1. So this is 1 now. This is 0 now. Okay, so what does that mean? That means we have this scenario. So we have 0, 0 and 1. Now look at the case when clock is 0, which is this scenario. Now when this one comes as 0, when this is 0, this is 0, both are disabled. Mean here we have 0, here we have 0. We have 0 and 0. And with an SR latch, what happens when you have 0, 0? And we just studied, we will maintain previous state. Whatever it is, if it was 0, it will stay at 0, 1, it stay at 1. And this is opposite to it. This. So we have overcome the problem that I was mentioning here. We don't have this 1, 1. So this intermediate state doesn't actually read to 1, 1. So we have 1, set, set. This reset, reset. Reset, reset. Then we have 0, 0 previous state. All right, hope you understood it. And if you have any questions, you can ask me in the comments or ask me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for your time. Hope you got something useful and valuable. See you next time.